And here we go. Hello, and welcome to another Hand Me Down a Handsome Sweater once worn by a man with 3 hands who used to be famous for handing power tools to a man on TV with only 1 hand. Uncle Gary once knew a guy who lost a hand to a gator, and his name was Chubbs. Episode of The Days Grimm. My name is Brian Michael Day.
My name is Thomas Grimm.
Did you get the reference?
Yeah, I did. God
Chubbs?
bless you.
Chubbs?
Yeah.
From, what is it, Happy Gilmore?
Yeah.
He's like, son of a bitch, and he's got that wooden hand and it's fucking missing a damn...
Yeah. The gator got the hand of the hand, you know?
I don't know, man. I'm pumped. I'm excited. We're doing a quick switch, quick turnaround. This has been a busy week. I can't hold on to my excitement anymore. We're going to go ahead and say what I normally say.
Hit him with that intro.
There it is. This week, joining us in the Days Grimm studio, please, everyone, give a hand for Jason Koger. Sir, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Hey, it was super funny you just said about Chubbs because
You're familiar?
I just talked about him today, actually. I went hunting yesterday afternoon, and I killed a deer, and we went back this morning.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
And you said he was bigger in person than what you had
Trail
seen on the
cameras,
trail
yes,
cam.
Absolutely.
Congratulations. I'm so pumped for you, dude.
But I this morning we was talking before I went to look for it, and I was telling this guy, he's a tracker, and I told him, he said, well, what do you think happened? And I said, man, I don't know. I wish that my right arm was just a little longer. And I said, you remember Chubbs? That's what he said. Whenever he was golfing, he said, this arm's what did he say? This arm's a little longer than the other or something. So. You remember that?
I can't remember. It's been so long since I've seen that movie, dude. I just remember Chubbs, like, at one point, Adam Sandler's character, Billy Madison, or no, not Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, like, hits his wooden hand off of him by accident, and it goes flying into the damn back nine, and Chubbs has to go get his hand, and he glued all the fingers back together, and it was like all but just suspect looking.
Yeah. But it's funny that you brought it up, and then I talked about it this morning, you know?
Crazy.
I don't want to get...
So are you from the Evansville area?
I live in Owensboro.
Were you born and raised in Owensboro?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Born and raised in Owensboro, man.
Tri-state area, still close by.
That's right.
Now let's go ahead and get into it, man, because a lot of people are getting all the hands and they're not getting the jokes and they're not fully understanding. So what we like to do in the first couple seconds before we open up with anything else is, who is Jason Koger? In a very brief summation, and we're going to get into the details of your entire story, mind you, in the next hour. So this is your camera right here. Just in the next 60 seconds, give us a brief summation of who is Jason Koger.
Okay. Jason Koger from Owensboro, Kentucky. March 1st, 2008, I was injured, and now I'm a bilateral arm amputee. I was the first person in the world with bionic hands, and basically went from construction company to, kind of international, national. I don't know, I've done a lot of TV stuff, a lot of different things. So I guess that's who I am now, Bionic Man.
Oh, Bionic Man. Or Mr. Hooks, if you're referring to Hawaii 5-0.
It depends on the day. But what was it like being the first person with bionic hands? Like, that's crazy.
It got me a lot of attention.
Now, I do have a question on that. Were you the first with bionic hands or first double lateral bionic hands?
Double.
So there was someone before you that had a bionic hand.
Yes.
But you were the first with 2.
Yes. And then after the first, I've been the first. So I'm on my 5th generation hand. I have been the first 5 times with 1 or 2.
So did this company reach out to you? They find you?
Yeah.
And they're from awesome. Finland?
Iceland
Sweden?
and Scotland. So the engineers in Scotland, which it used to be owned by Touch Bionics, which is in Scotland.
Okay.
And then it got bought out from Oser, which is in Iceland. So now the engineers are still in Scotland.
Now that's where you're going soon.
Scotland at some point.
Oh, you're making a trip to Scotland, and you're just going to do some R&D type stuff, some research and development with them up there, I'm assuming. I'm very, very pumped, man. I have to say, I stumbled upon you by a complete accident. I'm in a meetup with Sam.
At your brother's bookstore.
Shout out. And have you ever been? Do you know Sam? Do you know your brother's bookstore?
I met him. Yep.
You did?
Yep.
He's been on the podcast, and he's just, to say that he's a joy to talk to, he's just so positive. It would be underselling it. I love talking to that guy. And I just met his brother this same day that I'm explaining to you. But I'm there. I'm like, hey, man, I'm just looking for something new to read. Do you got any local guys? Anything worth looking at? And he says, yeah, check this guy Jason out. Hell of a story. And this is Sam's brother talking to me. His name slips in my mind.
Is it Adam?
Adam.
Or is their last name Adam?
Adam.
No.
Okay,
Adam.
so yeah, it's Sam and Adam.
Yeah. Adam. And Adam's like, check this local guy out. His story resonates with me. And he's like, he's just a tough son. He's a tough SOB. And I was like, all right, I'll take a look. And immediately just read the summation in the back and in the front cover. And I was like, this is my guy. And he goes on to tell me, he's like, yeah, man, he's from the tri-state area. I was like, get out of here, dude.
Show him the book.
Yeah. So anyway, down at your brother's bookstore, I get hooked up with, big shout out to Sam and Adam, dude. They hooked me up with Handed a Greater Purpose by our man sitting before you right here today. And here's the cover. So,
and you actually had a ghostwriter, somebody that helped you.
Two, actually.
I did. Yep.
Two. One did a lot of the heavy lifting, and you said the woman.
Yeah, Karen.
And what was the gentleman's name?
Danny. So me and Danny's been working on this for probably 2 years.
Yeah.
Maybe longer than that. But since COVID, when everybody was kind of slow, not doing much,
yeah,
is when we really finished it and really worked hard on it. And then we pretty much had it done, and we wanted somebody to go over it with us. So Karen came in and kind of looked at the rough draft, changed things that we didn't see, and basically helped us do it that way.
That's awesome.
And basically, I stumbled across that story, and I was like, there's no way this grown man has gone through this, and he is from here, and he has done all this stuff. There's just no way in shit you're telling me this guy's from here. You're from my hometown, basically. You're 40 minutes away.
That's right.
So I was like, all right, thank you, Adam. I appreciate the suggestion. I start reading it, literally the first chapter.
Is there an audiobook?
Not yet.
Oh, yeah.
I need to do one.
Well, if you go to record one, we might be able to hook you up.
Don't spoil nothing. Damn it, Thomas. Anyways, I start reading it. I was like, immediately, I got to reach out to this guy. I reach out to you, and then the rest is history, and here you are today.
Yep.
Phenomenal job writing this book. I don't know how it happened. First off, my first question is, how do you write a book? I don't know. You know what I mean?
Ghostwriter.
Yeah. So what is it?
What does that process look like?
We just started doing interviews, and he would come in my house and just hit a recorder.
This is the writer.
Yeah.
Okay.
We did a lot of interviews with the doctor that I'm real good friends with, my mom, my dad.
Mr. Guy.
Yes,
Dr. Guy.
Dr. Guy, yep. Mm-hmm. And they just condensed it down, and I mean, he wrote it the way I talked. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the way he did it. Which takes
a skill in a way, I feel like, to be able to.
Yep.
So I guess, do you want to do the death of the week before we go over the accident?
Oh yeah, I'm slipping so much, man. I'll tell you what, dude. I was so excited about getting you in here. Like, I almost forgot. Every week, I don't know if you've listened to any of the shows before, or if I even sent you the link.
Nope, not yet.
But you can listen on just audio, or look us up on YouTube and check us out on there, and you can see all the beautiful everything around you. But every week we do this death of the week, and it's a way that some unfortunate soul has passed away. And we highlight this individual, whether it be from stupidity or whether it be from odd occurrences, whatever it may be. But we just like to remind you with the name The Days Grimm that your life could suck a whole hell of a lot worse. And that's something that you really bring to the table.
Yep.
So we're going to highlight that in this week's Death of the Week, brought to you by Corn Dog Development, the Super Sick Coasters. Thomas, hold it up.
Promo every week. Promo code Days Grimm, save 10%.
There you go, man. This week's Death of the Week, a 15-year-old in Vermilion Township, or a 15-year-old Vermilion Township boy was killed Tuesday when he was electrocuted by trying to recreate an experiment he had seen on YouTube. Emergency crews were called to the house of holy hell of a last name. Can't even try that. He's probably from the Icelandic area. on the 5800 block of Westlake Road at about 6 p.m., Erie County Sheriff's officials told Sandusky Register. Crazy Last Name's body had been found in the garage by his family after his parents heard a lot of noise. Quote, a lot of noise. The story goes on to read, police and fire department crews administered treatment but were unable to save the teen, who was pronounced dead at the hospital. The official said he was trying to recreate a, quote, Jacob's ladder, end quote, an experiment in which a high-voltage arc of electricity travels upwards between two long wires. He said that he said the teen saw the experiment on YouTube and tried it in his garage while his family was at home. His family was aware of the video and his experiments, he said. However, he added the police did not know at this stage of the investigation which of, quote, many, end quote, such videos on YouTube the teenager had watched. With dad, James, posted a picture of his son dressed in camouflage, apparently hunting in the woods. In a comment, he wrote, quote, this is the last picture I took of him this past weekend. I miss my boy, end quote. Damn, I wish I wouldn't have read that last sentence. That's horrible.
See, so I saw the
this
title of this, and I
week.
saw Jacob's Ladder, which is something completely different than
that's
what...
that's a penis piercing.
Right, and I thought he was like electrocuting that.
Oh my God.
And that's how he died.
What is
I didn't
wrong with you?
realize that
Why would you want to read a
was
story about that?
It's a death of the week. Why wouldn't you want to read a story like
About
that?
a man being electrocuted by his penis?
Yeah, that's a good way to go, right?
I don't know.
All right, first off, that's rough, dude.
Yeah.
First off, I have to preface with whatever is about to be said about this death of the week, that if you see it on YouTube, it doesn't mean go home and do it. It's kind of like if you see it on TV, don't try it at home. You know what I mean?
Right.
Come on, kids.
That's right.
And he was a damn teenager.
And electricity bites.
So coming from an expert, Mr. Jason, how the hell do we wind up here? Walk me through. This is 2008,
Yep.
2009?
No, 2008.
2009 of the occurrence.
No, 2008.
2008 is the occurrence.
Yep.
So you told us and the folks, you're from the Owensboro area.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's start here. Where did you go to high school?
I went to Apollo High School.
Apollo High School.
Yep.
And what was life like growing up for you?
I was raised up on a farm. So my mom's dad was a farmer, and my dad was a construction worker. He owned his own construction company.
Okay.
So we were raised out in the county, and my dad was a drill sergeant in the Army at one time.
So you were raised one tough son of a bitch.
That's right. Yes, he was tough. And he always expected us to work. And he always believed. So in 1984, my dad started his own construction company, and he had $1,500 to his name. That's all he had. And, he was always the kind of person that had a goal, and he would reach it one way or another. And that probably came from the Army side of it.
Right.
So I watched my dad be a very successful person with nothing. My dad was a self-provider since he was 14 years old, So raised out in the county, and, I really didn't realize that everything that I was seeing my dad and my mom do was going to really help me later in life.
Right.
Obviously. I really take a lot of that is from them. So.
One fun fact I take from the book, just your overall persona. You were handed a pretty bad deal here, okay, which we're going to get into, I promise. And the story is very, very interesting on how we wound up here, and that's why I don't want to ruin it. But leading up to, you spoke about being raised on a farm with your dad. He's a very, reach a goal, set a goal, reach a goal kind of guy, which obviously you get from him.
Yep.
Because you are the way you are that I'm reading in the book. One thing that that sticks out in my mind is the day that, tell us about the day that what was it? Your dad said you want to drive the truck or whatever, and he just throws you the keys.
Oh, yeah.
How does that day work out? What are you, 14 when this happens?
Probably 7. I don't know.
You're 7?
Yeah, I was little, you know.
Yeah. So what do you walk us through that day? That just to give an idea to the people listening, like what kind of person you are. Like,
yeah. So you know, so back then my dad had a little red S10.
Yeah.
5-speed. I mean, I don't know how old it was. I was young, way younger than 14. You know, I don't know, 8, 9, whatever I was.
14 sticks in my head from the book, but I'm way off.
I was pretty young. I sat there and watched my dad shift gears. Never asked him. I just always watched. You know, I was very mechanically inclined anyway. So one day I just told Dad, I said, "Hey, can I drive a truck?" He's like, "Where?" And I said, "Just around the farm." He said, "Yeah." Threw the keys to me. He's like, he'll never get it going, right? You know, he'll pop the clutch every time, and then it'll die, stall, whatever. And I got it rolling, and hell, I wasn't gonna stop. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, no way, I got it going. I'm out of here. So I think he was kind of like, gosh, dang, I can't put nothing past him. You know?
Yeah. Now, and then tell them about how you immediately ran it into a tree after that.
I don't know.
Just kidding.
I didn't do that.
At 7 years old, how do you see over the damn steering wheel at that point? You know
I got a video of my little girl driving too. It don't run too far out of the family.
Does she know how to drive a stick yet?
No. Man, you can't hardly find a stick shift anymore.
You can take the Mustang for a test drive.
Oh, there you go.
I'll be honest with you, man. That story sticks out in my head of like the kind of person you are. Just a puzzle solver. You know what I mean? And there's something to be said about that, and you illustrate that very well in the book. And I don't know how much we want to really like lean on the book tonight. I don't know if you want to give a lot of details away. I don't know if we just want to talk about what happened to you and what happened after. I'm really kind of leaving that in your hands at this point, but I haven't really considered this, but like, I guess so. You go to high school at Apollo. You get out of there, and what happens after Apollo? You wind up going to college.
I did. So I went to work for my dad for 1 year, and then so I guess that's another part of the story too. I knew what my life was going to be like. I knew that I was going to work for my dad, or
you're going to take over the construction company.
Yeah. I mean, I thought I knew how my life was going to be.
Right.
I worked for him for a year, and then I thought, you know what? If I can go to college, that'll give me about 4 years of fun too, right? I don't have to work every day. I can learn some stuff.
You're in your 20s, late teens, early 20s.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm gonna do this.
Where'd you go to college?
I went to Murray State, and at first I was like, all right, what kind of degree do I want to get? Because I'm probably not going to use my degree anyway.
Right.
So what kind of degree will be as close to the construction side as I can get? So I decided Murray's a big ag department. You know, start a school, ag school. So I decided to take ag engineering, so I could, you know, they were doing the small motors, and obviously from your story that you've read, I'm really good mechanically inclined anyway. So like that, this is gonna be fine.
Me.
You know
People
what I mean?
Like you piss me off. I'm gonna be honest with you, because it took me like a year to figure out how to change my own oil.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? At like 10 years old, or no, I was probably like 13, but like it took me a long time to figure out how to take a bolt out. You know what I mean? So like. People like you irritate me. So, but you just get it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think we're all blessed with different things, you know.
Yeah,
so.
I look funny and can make people laugh.
That's right.
And
that's
you
right.
can keep motors running. You know.
Right.
So you're out there at Murray and you're going for the ag. You actually joined a fraternity at this point.
I did. AGRs. Okay. Yep.
AGR. Yep. He said, "Shout out, dude." AGR. He's throwing up gang signs, dude. So AGR. What's that like? Or I guess not to get hung up too much on college, but what's a couple of standout memories from college?
Man, I mean, like today, I can tell you I met some of the closest friends I've got today. You know, I mean, getting in a fraternity was huge. I mean, I think it was obviously, you know, when people hear about fraternities, it's a party life and fun. Yeah. And I mean, obviously it was fun, but man, I brought a lot more than that home with me. And, you know, one of my closest friends at the time that I met in college, his name was Reese Adams. And, you know, when Reese turned 21, I'd actually came home that weekend. Dad wanted me to come home, work, whatever. And I told Reese, I said, man, whenever I get back home next week, we'll go out. We'll go do something. And anyway, I got a phone call that weekend, the very first day, it was Friday night, Saturday night. I don't remember which night, but early in the morning, Reese's mom called me. And Reese was in a car wreck and passed away. You know, he'd been out to the bars, 21, you know, and somebody else was driving. And, you know, man, it really hit me pretty hard because you know, I mean, we were super close. You know what I mean? And I think about him all the time. I mean, it's, you know, Pink Floyd. You know Pink Floyd, right?
I fucking love Pink Floyd.
I Wish You Were Here. That was his song.
That's one of the first songs I ever learned how to play.
Yeah. So that was his song. That's what they played at the funeral. And every time I hear that song, man, it's like, dude, Reese. You know what I mean?
Right.
And there's so many things that I wish Reese was around. But long and short, I mean, the reason I say that is, I mean, literally some of the closest friends that I've ever had is from Murray. And then obviously I met my wife there too. So
you and your wife meet, you graduate, you go back and start working for the family business?
Yep.
Well, she's an Owensboro baby too,
she is,
right?
Yeah,
you guys were not far away from each other.
No.
You went to Apollo and she went to
Davis County.
Yep. So you guys were in the same
area
the whole time and had no idea until you met
in Murray.
And we don't want to give up a huge amount of details from the book, because seriously, guys, I hope you go to your brother's bookstore or anywhere, Amazon, find this book and buy it and read it. It is a great read. But the way that you guys link up, you and your wife, is just bonkers. You know what I mean? It's like you couldn't. It's like out of a movie. It really is interesting. But anyway, sorry.
So you have all three of your kids before 2008?
No.
Because I know from what I know is you put the kids down to sleep or during a nap for your ride.
Mm-hmm.
So how many kids did you have then?
2.
Just 2, and you've got 3.
Yes.
Okay.
No. Yep.
So anyways, we'll go from you meet your wife. That's probably a big moment.
Oh yeah,
meeting
absolutely.
her and Murray.
Yeah,
So that's probably a key thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you meet her, and then what happens from there? You know.
Well, she actually came home before me. She was only in Murray for maybe a year.
Mm-hmm.
I think she got homesick. She and her dad were super close. And I feel like it was almost one of those, you know, God things, you know, that she needed to come home. So she came home early, got to spend a couple years more with her dad. You know, whenever I got home, we were dating. I picked her up one day. We went to Owensboro. Her dad was mowing the yard.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, he got off a mower and hugged her, said hello, you know, super cool guy. We got to Owensboro, and he had a massive heart attack and passed. So, you know, I think there's always reasons of things that happen, right?
And his name was
Billy.
That's what it was. And yeah, we'll get to that later.
Yep.
We'll get. But yeah, and you never really got close to Billy.
Yeah, I mean, we were super good friends, you know.
Oh, you were?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, he worked on cars all the time, so we had a lot of different stuff. And I tell people all the time, I wish that if he was still around, there's no telling what we would make, you know, for me, for my prosthetics. You know what I mean?
Kidding.
And or do something crazy or whatever. And,
so,
but I'll also say that, you know, it was really cool when Reese died, and this kind of brings that up, the kind of person Billy was. When Reese passed away, we went to the funeral, and I came home, and, you know, I sitting at Jenny's house on the couch, and obviously, you know, bummed out, you know, whatever. And Jenny's dad, Billy's like, hey, I got something for you. And he handed me a cup and had a lid on it. And it was a beer, you know, and he's like, I know you need it. You know what I mean? And
oh, hell yeah.
Cool guy, man. Super cool guy. I mean, I loved him, and, you know, so, yeah, good people.
That's outstanding, man. And God, I get it. Losing somebody like Reese, that's hard to go through. But it's awesome that you had somebody like your wife and her family to go through that with.
Yep.
So she goes home a year before you. You actually wind up graduating from Murray.
I did.
And you get out of there and you come back and you work for your dad for how long? From what to what? Like 2000?
I don't even remember. I graduated.
Because now we're getting into the meat and potatoes.
Yeah. I think I graduated college in
2004.
Hang on. I graduated in 97 from high school, so didn't go back to college. So 2004. Yeah. 2004.
I think I was hoping my memory was serving me.
That's right.
Roughly 2004.
Yep.
Now you wound up getting hitched shortly after that, right?
Yep.
2005-ish.
We got married 2000 and golly, I can't believe you asked me that.
You know, edit this out. That's right. So his wife doesn't hear this. No, but you get married, and you have a couple of small ones along the way.
Yep.
So we're getting into the meat and potatoes. Who's child one? Who's child two?
So Jenny always wanted 4 kids. Is what she wanted. So we had our first. It was a little girl, and the first thing that she said was, "Our first child, I want to name Billy after my dad."
No matter what.
That's right. So Billy Grace, since she's a girl,
was
born, And we had just bought a 800 square foot home, something small, you know. Kind of, I guess I'm going kind of forwards and backwards a little bit. I always told Jenny that I wanted to live where I was raised up, out in the county.
Yeah.
And I'd always told my mom and dad that I wanted to buy them out at some point. But I couldn't afford their house, right? So I was like, all right, I'm gonna get a little 800 square foot home in town. Bought that. That's where we lived. And Jenny, you know, had told me we can have one kid here because it's big enough for a kid and us.
Right.
Just one, yeah. 800 square foot is not a lot when you get another one in there.
Right. We get pregnant again, we got to go somewhere. So
have to roll up out of here, dude.
Yep. So, and I say this, and sometimes Campbell might get upset. I'm not saying this in a way that she wasn't wanted. She was wanted. It happened a lot faster than we expected.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So Jenny comes home, and she was like, hey, I'm pregnant again, and they're 21 months apart, right?
Shoot.
So
Yeah.
I was
we
like,
just got to this house.
yeah. So she
we've
said
been living here a year.
Yeah, we're still unpacking boxes.
Yeah.
Like, damn it.
So she said, we got to go. So I went out to my mom and dad's house, and I told my mom and dad basically, hey, y'all got to roll out. We got to come in. So we're pregnant again. So.
Yeah, get your shit and get out.
That's right. So, and that's what they did. So
where did they go?
they went to
In
town.
town?
They bought a smaller place in town. There's just the two of them, and
Right.
I bought their house, and that's kind of where all my story's fixing to start. But for like 2 years,
So it's Billy and Campbell, just so we're clear.
yes,
Right?
Billy and Campbell was my two
Okay.
at the time. I got a little boy now. His name's Axel. So I got two girls and a boy. But whenever I moved out to mom and dad's, for about 2 years right there, while I was in that other house, I was working a lot, like 7/12s, you know, like a bunch.
Yeah.
Like we were working a bunch.
One thing you touch on in the book a little bit is at this point in time, like you're taking on a bigger role at your dad's job. Now you're above just like the entry level guy.
Yep.
You're kind of like taking on projects, and
That's right.
you're like more of a manager.
Yep.
So it's high stress, a lot of hours. You're in control of other guys and jobs getting done.
Yeah, $1 million jobs.
These are big jobs.
Yeah. So I was doing all that, working 7/12s, and
100%.
you know, I was home one day. It was March 1st, 2008. First Saturday, warm. I don't know, 65 degrees, 60, 70.
As warm as it can be for this area.
Yeah. You know, it was like a spring day, you know, and Jenny has a brother that was fixing to get married. His name's Michael. So Michael was going to get married, and Jenny was a graphic design major. So Jenny was going to make his wedding invitation. Well, I was trying to do all this stuff, you know, honeydew projects, whatever.
Oh, you're busy around. I think you were doing a ceiling fan.
I was, yes.
Yeah.
I was changing out ceiling fan.
I just want to preface, it's so hard to not jump in because I'm like in this book, dude. I'm telling you, your book is very impressive. I'm seriously. But anyways, go as you were saying.
So I was doing honeydew projects, and basically the kids had to go take a nap, so I put them down for a nap, and like, I'm going to go outside and enjoy this weather for a little bit and take a ride around the farm. And a farm I've been around my entire life.
What kind of quad do you have?
At the time, I had a Polaris 700 four-wheeler ATV. I got UTVs now, but at the time it was ATV, just a Polaris. And going around this farm, I told somebody the other day, like, you know when you live in a house and you got all your bedroom lights off, everything's off, you don't want to wake up your wife, whatever, you can walk to the bathroom in the dark.
Yeah, your feet are doing like these weird numbers.
Is,
yeah, you know where every little nook and cranny is. Yeah,
you don't run into walls. You don't run over shoes. I felt the same way riding a four-wheeler around the farm. So I'm not paying 100% attention.
Right.
Really don't have to. I know exactly where I'm at. Right.
You know every dip and divot.
Yeah. Yep. But the it's a U shape, and it comes out at my grandfather's farm. So I go down to the gravel, turn to the left. Go down, there's a culvert. You got to go over one certain spot, turn left again. Well, right there at that culvert, there was a down power line. So basically, I mean, we can get into it however much detail you want, but basically, I came in contact with a down power line, took 7,200 volts of electricity. And
it was for like 30 seconds, right?
Yep.
Before the grid shut off?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
One honorable... So the way that this was written in the book was put together very, very well. I will say, so you hit the line one time, the first go around.
Yep.
So you're riding, and in the book you explain as you're riding on there's like an inclination ahead of you. You're about to go uphill almost after that culvert.
Yep.
And this line just kind of like blended in with the corn and the ground, and that's why you didn't see it. And it's so low that it wound up in your lap, didn't it?
Yeah, it was 30 inches off the ground.
So, but that's not when you get electrocuted.
No.
Now,
So when
walk me from that moment on, more specifically, leading into the very moment right before and when it hits you and then after. Kind of start from there and what happens.
So it hits the front rack of my four-wheeler and basically kind of bounces and hits my chest and lands.
And it's heavy.
Yeah. I mean, it's a 3/8 cable. But it lands in between my body and my handlebars on my gas tank. So, like, at that moment,
what are you
I was
thinking?
stuck.
What are you thinking? What is running through your head right now?
Well, the first thing that went through my head was, and I never was an electrician, right? I hate electricity. Always have. First thing that I thought of, I'm on rubber tires, and I've always been told when you're on rubber tires,
can't get shocked.
That's right.
That's what I was always told too.
So I'm on rubber tires. That's the first thing I was thinking. I can't get off, right?
I'm good.
So then I look down to the right, and that power line goes to a field pump.
A field pump being like to like pull water out of the field or whatever.
Yeah,
like
when the crops are out.
Yeah.
Well, there's no crops out in March. So I'm like, well, maybe the power line shut off.
Maybe they killed it for the summer.
I don't know. That's
or
two things
for
I thought
winter,
of.
rather.
Yep. That was the two things I thought of. And then I seen across the field, you can see my cousin's house. Mm-hmm. So I seen him outside. I was like, all right, so what do?
Do you holler for him? Or?
No, too far for that. So I decide, all right, I have to get off this power line. It hadn't done anything to me yet.
Yeah, you're perfectly fine.
Yep, I'm going to pick it up high enough to go underneath. I'm going to go talk to my cousin.
You're such a brave...
what else can you do?
I don't know if you're brave or dumb.
I know it. That's right.
Why are you touching this son of a bitch?
Well, it was laying on me, so I was like, "Hell, it ain't doing nothing yet." You know what I mean?
If it's me, like I'm probably an idiot and getting off the four-wheeler. I'm just like,
which I think if I'd ever got off, it would have gone through my legs.
You think so?
You know? Yeah. I mean, being on rubber tires,
maybe.
So I picked it up, went underneath
Scoot under it,
and went up there, got my cousin, and then I told him, I was like, "Hey, I need to show you this." And so we turned around, went back down to my to where it was, and at that time, I'm not gonna go back underneath it, right? I'm just gonna show him. I wish it was this high. What could we do? Is it off? Like, kind of talk this over. And
this part just blows my mind, man.
So at that time, I had turned around looking at him, and I said, I wish that the power line was this high. Like, I kind of did it with my hand. I don't know if I touched it, didn't touch it. I've been told electricity can jump a certain distance. I've been told that I could have touched both lines. One of the lines could have been touching the four-wheeler, and I touched the top one. I don't know what happened. I mean, I wasn't looking at it. It was not my intention to touch it again, right? I was just saying, if it was this high, we wouldn't have to worry about another kid in the neighborhood coming through here running 100 on a four-wheeler, dirt bike, whatever,
getting their damn head schwacked off or something. Yeah, dude.
So at that point, I wasn't even thinking about electricity. I was thinking about decapitation.
Other people's safety, and their
you're getting hurt.
Body getting hit, yeah.
Now, I was told that 2 days before I got into this, that there was kids that rode underneath it. Never one of them picked it up and went underneath it. I don't know why I didn't get them. You know what I mean? I have no idea.
Oh, you don't mention that in the book.
I know it. I didn't. I don't want them. And the reason I don't talk about it in the book is because I don't want them to ever think that I blame them for it. You know what I mean? Because I don't.
Right.
I mean, young kids.
You don't want to put. Yeah.
They didn't know they shouldn't have called it in. Did call it in. I mean, it just. Yeah. Things happen.
They're just kids.
So essentially, you're just like talking to your brother or cousin-in-law, and you turn. You're just like, I wish it was, and you might have nicked it or gotten close to it.
Whatever.
But you were still on the four-wheeler.
Still on the rubber tires.
You go lights out.
Yes. So everything went dark, black. And I knew that I was getting electrocuted because I could feel the vibration going through my body.
You could feel it shake, the shaking.
Oh yeah. But I couldn't see anything. You know what I mean? It's like eyes. I was closed. And when you get electrocuted, it burned. It you'll get electrocuted for 30 seconds, and then
breaker
kicks off. So I took 7,200.
Do the power companies not notice that like juice isn't flowing all the way through, or?
Well, I think it does if something gets against it.
Oh, okay.
But these lines were
resistant,
just swooping down. They weren't knocked over because the guide wire broke, so the pole was leaning. So they didn't know any difference of being up in the air or being 30 inches off the ground. But so 7,200, 30 seconds, shoots me off the back, stopped my heart.
Lucky the four-wheeler didn't explode either.
Yeah, I mean, it was still running whenever, the ambulance and stuff got there. You know what I mean?
You probably lost a damn sneaker.
I did. It blew my tennis shoe off.
So none of your toes got blown off?
Nope.
But you did lose some fingers in the start of it.
My left thumb, I did.
Right. Yep. I remember that. You were talking about how you'd only lost one finger to start.
Yep. I don't want to make it sound like I don't gamble. I'm not a gambling man. Mm-hmm. Okay? My man right here said, hey.
Yeah, I said he had electricity coming out of his feet, so he probably lost a foot if he lost a finger from electricity.
No.
It's not a far off assumption, am I right?
I bet you Jason comes in here and he's missing a toe. I was like, he's got all 10 toes, I promise you. I would have read about it by now.
Yes, I do.
He's like, no, I bet you he's missing a toe.
Yeah.
No, but it's funny that we do mention, mentioning, getting electrocuted, there's an in and there's got to be an out.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
So where would you speculate? We don't know which was in and which was out.
That's right.
But like you said, you're missing part of a thumb / it's dangling at this point. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean to breeze past all the currents of that day, but we've got so much to cover after.
Yep.
So when do you come to? Do you come to there on the ground or in the hospital?
Yep.
Immediately.
So
you're in the culvert, right?
Yeah. My heart stopped, but after 30 seconds, it threw me off the back of the four-wheeler. When I hit the ground, or it was enough electricity, whichever way, my heart started back.
A lot of people that get struck by lightning or electricity, when they hit the ground, their heart tends to re-kick.
Yeah. Well, your heart knows.
Am I the only one that's never heard this before? Y'all two both know what's going on, and I'm like, I have no idea. You've heard this before?
Yeah, my aunt knew a guy that got struck by lightning, and the electricity came out his hand, and his heart stopped. But when he fell and hit the ground, he landed on a rock, and the rock restarted his heart.
Yeah.
Did he survive?
Yeah.
That son of a bitch. Hey, you better start gambling tomorrow, dude.
That's
Start
right.
buying lottery tickets.
That's exactly right.
Gee, all right, so
you come to on the ground, ways away. Heart restarted from hitting the ground, we'll say.
probably disoriented. You had no idea what's going on.
I knew I was electrocuted. I mean, I knew because I remember
in your head, you remember.
Oh, yeah.
You knew.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Did you feel like a burning sensation
Yes.
all over?
Yeah.
Probably smelt burning flesh.
Felt like I was on fire.
Fuck.
And
That's
there's
rough,
a ditch
man.
right there.
Right.
So first thing I do is I'm fixing to go for water. I'm hot, burning, and my cousin keeps pulling me out. He had already, I guess, called 911. His dad lives, right there.
Right.
So his dad came back there, and my cousin was still trying to get me up out of this water. And so I remember, my uncle being there, the first ambulance, the fire truck. I mean, all that. I remember everything. My wife coming back there, somebody had went to get her.
Yeah.
Actually, my other cousin lives next door to me.
Yeah, your property's strange. One thing we didn't cover about, where
Well, that's
you're
a
living.
small town areas. Families that's like what you don't see in like Evansville area, but you see in these smaller, more rural towns is like family stays close to family almost. Like back in the day, families used to stay in the whole house, but in these towns, families just kind of stay in the same street.
That's right.
And you explain that in the book very well, by the way. You actually give like cardinal directions, like I was here was my parents' house that we bought, and then to the northeast was my cousin, and over here, and you do a really good job of describing that, by the way. But it's like family all around you in this big plot of land, right?
Right.
So everyone's there, and they're there to help. So
my cousin, my other cousin, not the one that seen it happen, but my other cousin, he seen my uncle coming back there really fast, so he knew something had happened.
Something bad.
So he jumped on the four-wheeler and comes back there. I think his first thought was I was not going to make it. So he did not want to tell my wife. So he calls my mom and dad in town and says, hey, Jason's been in an accident. And the first thing he calls my mom, and the first thing my mom says is he still alive? and Charlie just was
like she knew it was bad from the get-go, just the way he said it.
Yeah. And he said, I don't know. You know what I mean? He didn't want to go back. Like, he didn't know. So my mom actually called my wife that was next door, and my wife came back there, and that's when they were loading me in the ambulance. Ambulance was there. And so Jenny rode in the ambulance with me. And, I remember telling her, I was like, I'm going to lose my thumb. Like, I could see it. It was just dangling. But that's it. Just my thumb. It's no big deal, really, And I say that, it's like, yeah, it is a big deal when your thumb's barely hanging off. But my grandfather was a single-arm amputee.
How far up did his go? I don't know if
he was the same length as me. His
before the elbow?
Yeah, before the elbow. Yep.
Which we learn in the book is a very big deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pre-elbow, when it comes to amputation, is a huge deal with the amount of muscle and tendons that are left.
Yep. Absolutely.
Very, very interesting. I didn't know much about that until reading your book.
Yep. So my grandfather, he lost his hand, and I watched him still farm and all this stuff, and he's the only person in the world I've ever seen with an upper limb amputee, so anyway, my grandfather actually passed away about 2 months before I got hurt. And so I didn't have that opportunity, but I remember telling my wife, it's like, I'm just going to lose a thumb. Papa lost his whole entire arm.
No big deal, babe.
Everything's going to be all right.
We're going to rub some dirt on it.
That's right. Yes.
We're going to walk the dog, dude.
Cool,
yeah, everything's fine.
I had no idea. Got to the hospital. They immediately say, we got to get you out of here. I'm probably going to send you to Nashville.
Did they take you to Henderson?
Owensboro. Yeah, right off the bat. They said, we got to get you to a burn unit, either in Louisville or Nashville. Whoever calls us back first. Nashville, Vanderbilt called, said, yeah, we'll take him. They had a helicopter already coming to get me, life flight. I still had no clue, like, why am I going to Nashville?
And your cognition is fully functional. You're like, 2 + 2 is 4.
Oh, yeah.
I'm in Owensboro, Kentucky. Yep. My name is Jason Koger. This is my wife.
Yep.
Like, there's nothing. You're not foggy. You're totally alert.
So when you rode in the helicopter, did they have you like strapped down, or were you like, I'm fine, let me sit in a seat?
No, they had me strapped.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were already prepping me for surgery.
For surgery and everything.
And I didn't know really
the extent of the damage or anything.
And then I found out later that when you get electrocuted, it burns you from the inside out. So it causes poisonous toxins inside your body, which has to be released somewhere. It goes through your kidneys. So when they cathed me in the helicopter, I remember seeing my urine bag look like Dr. Pepper. And that's blood and poison, and that's the bad stuff, right?
That's renal failure, dude.
So, yeah. So by the time
Are you in failure at this point?
Oh, yeah.
Are your kidneys quitting?
Yeah. And that was the whole reason of why they had to amputate immediately. Because when I got there and my wife got there, they basically said, hey, we know that his left arm's got to go, but his kidneys are shutting down, and if we don't do something now, he's going to die. Like, there's no other thing that we can do. And so anyway, basically, they went in, started looking at the infection, and the infection was in both hands, and they were more worried about my kidneys, so they immediately amputated both. And I didn't know.
Right.
Hell, I didn't even know one of them was an option. They didn't tell me that. So they probably didn't want me to. They didn't want me to quit fighting for myself. My body was fighting for itself.
Yeah, you're just trying to stay
alive.
Mm-hmm. That's so wild that your body is in fight or flight, but cognitively, mentally, you're like, hey, man, are we going to cut this thumb off? Or like, what are we doing? And little do you know, they're like, hey, man, your kidneys suck right now.
Did they tell you before you went under that they were going to have to take both, or did you wake up and...
Oh, no, I didn't know I have a client. I didn't know they were taking one. I mean,
right. So you wake up and they're both gone.
Yeah.
Right.
So they put me in an induced coma for 3 days. Every day they amputated a little bit more, sometimes multiple times a day, because they were watching my urine.
Right.
So a little bit more, but they wanted to keep them as long as they could. And then, so 3 days later, I wake up, strapped to a bed because I actually had a fracture in my neck and my back as well.
From like smacking onto the ground?
That or enough power did it, the electricity. But they told me that all 10 of my tendons that are on the tips of your fingers were wrapped around my wrist.
There's one thing that we will say. I have to preface this. Let's not get into the gore and the blood.
I have vasovagal synocope, so there's been an episode previously. So like, kind of like the blood in the urine bag. We had a runner that was talking about blood and pee, and I passed out on episode. I've had to seriously. I used to have to take health class from the nurse's office and stuff.
No good. Let's
so yeah, I started getting white faced, and I'll drop right on air.
Are you doing okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, so far
So
so
let's
good.
leave it where it's at. Let's just say.
I was gonna say, so you wake up, you're strapped to a bed after a couple of days. How long do you think this recovery process is before you get let go from the hospital?
Oh, months.
It's supposed to be months.
Yeah.
Months. What did Dr. Guy tell you? Which was your surgeon, by the way?
Yeah. Maybe
Dr. Guy told
maybe
you
a month or two.
2 months.
Yeah.
Okay, so how long are you?
Are they using mermaid skin? So I got a buddy that got burned, and they use like it's like
Skin graft.
Yeah,
Fish scales and stuff.
but it's like synthetics.
Oh, no. They
okay.
took it from my legs.
Yeah, that's where they normally take it, back of legs.
Yeah. But anyways, the thing that just before we get to the recovery portion, like we led into, you had no idea. You're thinking thumb at this point, and then you go under anesthesia, and you have no idea what's happening.
Yep.
And now you're asleep for 3 days.
Yep.
And then you wake up. We'll get to, what emotionally happened probably first. But you wake up from your 3-day induced coma.
And you find out they had to take both. What goes through your mind?
Yeah, you're strapped to a bed. How do you find out? Because you're strapped down to a bed.
Yep.
And you're disoriented and you're trying to figure out what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Still feel my hands. I still feel my hands today.
Is that like phantom
limb?
Yeah. Yep. So the first thing I thought of was, like I told the nurse, I want to talk to my parents, right? Because, again, I go back to my dad being that drill sergeant. I don't know, just
Pops
knowing
that
everything's possible and, whatever. So I had asked for my dad, and I think, I don't even know if this is in the book, to be honest with you, but nurse comes out and says, hey, he's asking for you to come in the room. And Dad was like, oh, I can't go in there by myself. Like, Donna, you got to go with me, my mom, So anyway, they come in the room, and I look at Dad, and I said, how bad is it? And my dad said, the first thing he said is, we've always had faith. One way or another, we're going to get through this. I don't know how, but we're going to. One way or another.
And then he told you?
And then he told me. He said they had to amputate both your arms in order to save your life. And
hey, I take 2 arms over my life any day, especially with 2 young kids. I mean, your kids are under 4 years old at the time.
21 months old and 3 months old.
Right.
Yeah. And I told Dad, I said, right then I was like, I know, I'm sure you got all kinds of thoughts going through your mind. I couldn't even tell you exactly what I was thinking whenever he first told me, but it kept on coming back about my kids. I mean, that's
right.
It just kept coming back. And, I had a dad my whole life, my mom and my dad my whole life, and my kids are going to have their mom and dad their whole life too, or as long as they possibly can.
Right.
Oh, yeah, 100%. So, the thing that shocked me the most was Dad leaves the room, right? Mm-hmm. And then Dr. Guy, I think, is nearby, and he sees this look on your face, which is in a portion of the book where it's, I guess he's being interviewed by your ghostwriter.
Yep, that's right.
And Dr. Guy says, I see him looking into the drywall, and he thinks really one thing is happening. He's like, this man is trying to process, or he's falling apart, or Dr. Guy is very, very early on, very pessimistic about your condition, because with amputees, Dr. Guy doesn't see a lot of positive, and he's very, very vocal about that.
Well, I'm probably sure you're everything that you can't do anymore is flashing through your eye.
Oh yeah,
your mind.
Yeah.
What are you thinking about whenever Dr. Guy brings up he was just looking off into the wall?
Yep.
What are you thinking about in that moment?
That whole part of that story, I didn't know until I wrote this book. Like,
you never got his perspective.
So when I asked him to do an interview on this book, he said, yes, I'll do it. So we went to Nashville, me and Danny, and we sat down in his room, and he said, first thing he said, I'm going to tell you right now, this is the only time I've said some of this stuff to people, and it'll be my last. And I was like, it almost was like, is he mad because we're here? You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know how to take it at first.
Right.
What I realized, and I can only imagine how many bad situations he has seen.
Not
in
great
a burn
scenarios. Yeah, no way.
And deaths of people. I mean, like whatever. I mean, very bad stuff. And for whatever reason, he loved my parents. He loved my family. He loved who I was, and he might not get to see that many good people, right? So he really took my story to heart, and that's what he said. Like there was multiple times in this interview of him where he said, "You gotta give me a minute." And he would walk out of the room and cry, like, and I was like, man, I couldn't believe that I touched him
Right.
the way he's explaining. So I don't know. I don't remember staring at that wall, but I can only imagine that I was thinking of, what's my next step?
I think
where
that
do I go?
that's very integral to the next part of this interview that I want to get to. You asked about the recovery.
Well, yeah, and you said 6 months.
No, he said
6 months in the hospital.
No, a month to 2.
Okay.
month to 2. And then how long did it actually take you to get out of the hospital?
12 days.
Wow.
You son of a bitch. He's just
that's
you're talking to a live stud.
that's willpower,
Live
so
stud.
in that 12 days, do they tell you about prosthetics, or did they kind of not mention that?
No, my wife had already did all that research, so yeah, I already had heard about these bionic hands and what the steps are, and so yeah, I mean, I knew that right off the bat. I tell you, the very first goal that I wanted was to be able to hold my kids, and I
Dr.
did.
Guy was aware of that.
Oh yeah, I told him
Because he asked you, didn't he? He said post surgery, once it was just you and him in the room, he said, hey, what's your number one goal? And let's reach that. And then I promise you, I'll help you reach that goal before you leave the hospital,
Yep,
right?
absolutely.
And you told him, I want to hold my kids.
Yep. And
how long did it take you to be able to hold your kids?
That next day, they came to see me. Very first day, Dr. Guy walks in the room. He says, hey, your kids are here. Do you want, I'm going to go get them. I'm going to bring them to you. And I remember me telling him, I was like, no, you're not. So what do you mean? And I said, I'm going to go to the waiting room. Like, that's what I want.
Right.
And he's like, man, you can't do it. Like, you got feeding tubes. You got all this stuff hooked up to you. And I said, well, unhook it. He said, well, I can't. If you do not eat, the feeding tubes got to go back in. And I'll never forget the feeling of what it feels like to take a feeding tube out. You know what I mean? Like, all this stuff they're unhooking me from.
Hey, look, that's a long way, bro.
I know it. Yeah,
that's a long way going in there, dude.
For sure. So I told him, I said, unhook me, and he did. And I went to the waiting rooms. First day I was up. This might have been the 4th or 5th day from my accident.
Right.
And so I went into the waiting room, and my kids were there, and I held my youngest, Campbell, first. She's 3 months old at the time. So I held her, and Billy Grace was 21 months old. So Billy was at that stage that she knew something was different.
Right.
And she was scared of me. So she would come up from behind me and like kiss me on the cheek, but she didn't want nothing to do with the front side of me, So anyway, I had held Campbell for a long time, and like right then, man, I got a picture of me in the hospital where I was smiling, I was happy, this is like the picture's
New
right
life,
in the book.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Man, there's something about your outlook on this entire situation in that, like you just said, from 4 days out, you're smiling and having a good time. There's not been a moment of thought to quit. It almost seems like through adversity, your brain almost like started working overtime, and you just started trying to relate it to learning how to drive that clutch when you were 7 years old. You're like, all right, I've seen this, I've heard this, I can kind of piece this here, that there. How can I move this truck forward? And the truck being you, how can I move my life forward? And it's just phenomenal to me that you've never once really, you did once have a negative thought, which I do want to cover at some point, but you've had a positive outlook this entire time.
Yeah.
It's incredible that something so negative and so terrible has happened to someone, and you've just been all smiles and just trying to figure it out and just moving forward. And you're like, hey, it's going to be fine. We're going to figure it out.
Yep.
How long?
Well, let me say this too. Like, there's a difference between good days and bad days. I think it would not be fair to say that I never had a bad day, right? I just had a day where, I would wake up, it's like, this really sucks, right?
Like you can't get it over the shoulder right or something.
I can't use the bathroom by myself. I can't bathe. I can't feed myself. I can't put my own clothes on. I can't, like, it sucks, right?
Yeah.
But
Fuck yeah.
I was always also, this sucks, but I know it sucks, but I got to figure out a way where it don't suck, right? So, like, it's not going to be a poor, pitiful me. It's going to be, how can I overcome this situation at every situation? So there was a bad time at every situation that I learned, right?
Yeah.
So you can only imagine the first time I tried to put my own clothes on was a struggle, you know? And it might have been a struggle the first 10 million times I tried it, you know? But every time I tried it and I failed, I was like, all right, I got to do it again tomorrow or in the next 10 minutes or whatever. So I did that with everything. I mean, holding a fork for the first time, dressing myself, bathing myself. I mean, everything. Like, you can only imagine.
This sucks, but I need it to suck less next time.
That's right. So, I think it's fair to say now when negative thoughts, I never had, in my opinion, I think a negative thought would be, do I really want to live? And I never had that, ever. And I'd say what you're probably referencing in the book was the only day that it hit me, I may never be able to do this again, is when my daughter was laying in my lap.
This is fucking terrible. Just
and
preface with this is fucking heads up, god awful. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy.
No. She's laying in my lap for one of the first nights I got home, 12 days after my accident, 13 days. And, I'm wanting to count her ribs, and I used to do it with my fingers. Start low and make it to the top. And so, I'm wanting to do that because she's laying in my lap, and she's looking at me, and she's got her arm in there. That's what she wants me to do.
Right.
And I ain't got
you
no
didn't
fingers.
have prosthetics or anything along this
had
this
nothing.
time.
And I held it all in. I was like, this ain't going to bother me right now. You know, I don't want her to see me upset. So anyway, we put her to bed, and I go back in the kitchen, in the living room, wherever I was. Living room, I think. My wife was doing something, and I mean, it's probably the only day that I sat there and cried, and my wife walks in and is like, what's wrong with you, And I was like, it's going to be the little stuff. Like, it's going to be that.
Was it that day that you were like, we need to get something on here?
No, I mean, I knew that I needed prosthetics anyway, but it was just that first moment that I thought,
incapability.
This thing right here, I may never be able to do again.
Incapability, yeah.
Yep. But I never had the thoughts of, will I ever be able to feed myself? That's going to happen.
Right.
I'm going to figure all that out. But that one moment was, I don't know if I'll ever be able to truly do this without something hard.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But that was the only, I would say, the hardest thing that I actually went through the entire time was that one moment.
That sticks out.
Yeah.
Yep. That sticks out in your story, as I'm sure it does stick out in your memory. And which was that Billy?
Yes.
That was Billy.
Mm-hmm. And now she's about 16, dating, and I'm like,
she's driving, just hanging out, living her best life. She's posting TikToks probably.
Yep. Just like my other daughter, Campbell, she's dating now, and man, it's it ain't that I don't trust anybody, but gosh dang, man, they're not at that age yet. You know what I mean?
Right, it grows up so fast.
I know.
Yeah. Well, and they don't build them like they used to.
Yeah, I know it.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
So, how long do you think it was until you got your first prosthetics?
Right. So my first prosthetics was a very long, and when I say prosthetics with two, was a very long time. Like my last surgery, so I got hurt March 1st, 2008. My last surgery was December the 5th.
Of like 2012?
No, so I got hurt in 2008. So still 2008, but almost 2009.
Okay.
Almost a year.
Almost a full year of surgery.
And that was your last surgery ever?
Yes. It was my right arm, because my whole right arm was third-degree burns.
Damn.
So I had a lot of scar tissue, skin grafts, and they were actually fixing some scar tissue I had because I didn't have no range of motion on my elbow.
Yeah.
And so that was my last surgery. So I had my left prosthetic
way
months before that. I might have gone, and this is going to be a total guess, man, because it all happened so fast. I wish that we would have wrote stuff down exactly how it happened, but maybe 3 or 4 months before I had one.
If you have one, is that still the shoulder behind the back tactic?
Now, please explain. So I thought this was phenomenal knowledge of.
There's actually a YouTube video on his shorts explaining it.
Yeah, of how the hooks actually work. So could you kind of walk us through that?
Yeah, so you got 2 straps that go around the shoulder, or if you're a single arm amputee, you have a strap that goes to your opposite shoulder than your injured arm. Mm-hmm. When you're a bilateral, it's all one piece. And when you move your right shoulder, it opens your left prosthetic. Or if your left shoulder would open your right prosthetic. Same thing with a single arm amputee, is their good shoulder is what moves their bad hand. Opposite.
That's wild.
So, and all you're doing is pulling a cable, is basically. Right. You got rubber bands that's keeping the hooks closed.
Yeah.
And you're just moving your shoulder and pulling a cable to open it, and then you're letting loose to close it because the rubber bands keep it closed.
So short of that, that's kind of the rudimentary.
Well, okay, so you had your left hand before your right hand.
Mm-hmm.
So what hand dominant were you before this?
Right.
You're right-handed. So now, since you had the left prosthetic beforehand, did you think you became more of a left-handed person, or
I think I'm both.
Ambidextrous.
Yep.
Damn, he's lining up on both sides of the plate, dude. Look at that.
So, like, you see what I'm drinking right now,
right?
Right-handed, right? So I cannot drink left-handed. I don't know why. I just can't. But I can't eat right-handed. I have to eat left-handed.
That's so weird.
So when I write stuff, I write right-handed.
If you got to cut a steak, the knife is in your right hand?
Yeah.
And the fork's in your left?
Yep.
That's so weird, dude.
Yeah.
So what I do want to... So this is several years after your accident that you get both of these claws, right?
No.
Or the hooks?
First year.
First year that you get both hooks.
Yep.
Okay.
When do you get hooked up with this company?
During that first year, too.
During that first year. Okay, so I have a cousin who was doing gymnastics that had an accident, and she broke her spine up between the 4th and the 6th vertebrae. Basically went like this and pinched the nerve. But she's a big hunter, and so this wheelchair company put together this wheelchair that's like multi-terrain. They can go through the farm. It's got like trench, like tank, whatever. But they actually just flew out, and she went deer hunting. And actually got a deer from the scenario. How long do you think it was until you picked back up shooting a bow and doing things? Did you do that in the first year?
That's a good question, Thomas.
Yeah.
Hey, Thomas, that's an excellent question.
So, March 1st, 2008 is when I got hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. April is turkey season.
Right.
So a month and a half. April 26th.
God, this is so
My buddy calls me and he says, "Hey, let's go turkey hunting." So this is a month and a half, whatever.
Right.
You just almost died.
Yeah, just about died.
30 days ago.
Yeah.
He's like, man, I'm going to shoot some birds.
Yeah.
You in?
Yeah. And I told him, I said, man, dude, I don't know. I mean, yes, I will go.
Right. Even if you just got to sit there
And
to
watch
get out
him.
the house.
Didn't you have to call a guy?
I did. I called him first because I was worried about a tick. I still had open wounds.
Right.
I mean, I'm still bleeding, So I'm going to call him and make sure that I don't.
Well, and the recoil of a gun.
Anything. I mean, infections and have to cut more off. Like, I don't want to do that, right? So I called him. He's like, sure, you can go. And I was like, all right, and
all right.
So I tell my buddy, I call him, and first thing I told him is like, hey, I want you to know if I go hunting with you, I can't do nothing for myself. I cannot pee by myself.
Right.
You're just watching.
Yeah. And like, you're going to have to help me with stuff, And for a man and a man, I mean,
right, you're going to have to pull my dick out when I got to pee.
We're great friends,
right.
And he's like, man, you're like a brother to me, Like, I want to help you with this next chapter of your life to show you what's possible,
Right.
So I went down to his house, spent the night with him, and he pulls his shotgun out, and he took the 2 screws out of the butt of the shotgun, put a ratchet strap on it, strapped it to my shoulder. He put a tripod on the front with a radiator hose clamp.
This is so
Kentucky.
I still think you're bullshitting. I swear to God, I still think you're bullshitting.
I wish we filmed it, but I had a string from the trigger to my mouth,
gosh,
and I killed my first turkey a month and a half after my
That
accident.
is awesome. That's a cool story.
But that's that determination. That's that of will
Puzzle.
of want to get back
Right.
to the way
normal.
I was.
You've got these puzzles that are around you, these pieces, if you will, like this jigsaw, and you're like, this is where I want to be, and here's all these pieces, and I just got to put them together. And it's interesting that, like, God damn, it'd be easy for you to just be like, woe is me, gun in my mouth, pull the trigger.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and
A lot of people do that.
coming from, so I'm a veteran, and coming from Afghanistan, I've got a lot of buddies that have done that. You know, they just opt out, and you know, if it's easier, it's easier. I get it. You know, you got to do what you got to do, and I never judge anybody, but it's just it's very profound. It sticks out to me, like I said in my message to you, that I resonate with adversity.
Yep.
So how long did you hunt by string and mouth? Was it just that one time, or did you do it a few more times?
No, I think that was the only time I killed that one turkey. And then right after that, so...
You were like, there's got to be a better way to modify
Well,
a gun.
I got one prosthetic.
There's got to be a better way than yanking a string with my fucking mouth.
So deer season, which starts in September.
Right.
Yeah.
So somewhere between April and September, I got my left prosthetic. So I got to the point where I could hold a crossbow, but I didn't have nothing to pull the trigger with. So at that time, my buddy would hunt in the deer stand with me, and I would tell him I would get everything ready, I'm on him, and he would reach around and pull the trigger. So that happened at first. And to be honest with you, hunting was the only thing that I thought would never happen again. That was the only one.
Really?
And then less than 30 days, and then a couple months later, you're out there.
Turkey. Now I'm done to kill my first deer.
I'll tell you what. Actually, what is such a remarkable happenstance that you got right back into this thing that you thought was never going to happen again. Almost postponed this interview tonight.
Yep.
Now I would like to touch a little bit on base about that, like that buck that you caught. What would have been yesterday?
Yeah.
Because you had seen him on trail cam, and you were like, I thought hunting season was over, and you're like, oh no, we got another weekend, and so you go back out after him, and you're doing crossbow or not crossbow, but a bow. You're bow hunting.
Crossbow.
It was a crossbow.
Yeah. Yep.
So do you only crossbow hunt?
I have shot a bow and arrow.
Is it more difficult or?
So being a bilateral, when you pull the cable back, my left hook opens because it's all tied together. So then I don't have a very steady grip unless it's only got a couple
pounds of
on
tension.
it. You know what I mean? And then at a couple pounds,
you're not getting a deer. Yeah.
So
so crossbow is pretty much how you bow hunt.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And crossbow falls into bow hunting technically.
I think is there a season on it though? Is it?
No, Kentucky is disabled can.
Okay.
But there is a crossbow season now.
Right.
Yeah, that's a lot longer than it used to be.
But disabled can hunt crossbow through
Year
bow
round.
season.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
So anyway,
Has there been any big game or any strange game you've went to hunt, like bear or anything along those
I
lines?
became the first person that they know of has killed a bear with two prosthetic,
awesome.
2 arms,
Black
gone,
bear?
whatever.
brown bear, black bear.
Black bear. Did you eat
Canada.
it?
I did not eat it. They kept it there. I brought that
damn.
bear. I got
brought
the rug in my house.
I got some black bear
You
I
didn't
brought
eat
and we ate.
No, they wanted the meat, and I couldn't get it here, so I let them have it.
Damn, you're missing out.
I
Bear's
know.
good.
I've had it.
You have. I was gonna say
yeah.
greasy,
Yeah,
greasier
yeah.
than you would expect. But I guess they do hibernate.
Is there
high fat? But
is there an animal you wouldn't eat?
Oh no, I've tried kangaroo. I've tried
Yeah,
all
you can
kinds of
order
stuff.
kangaroo. I was
Yeah.
just telling Brian I want to order some kangaroo
Yeah, it's
into
good.
town.
Yep.
what's the weirdest animal you think you have?
Well, in Kentucky, they can kill bobcats. Have you ate a bobcat?
I have not eaten.
See,
a
I've heard it looks like rabbit when it's skinned.
They're
Yeah.
the same animal essentially. But
One eats meat and one eats grass and fucks all the time. Same animal, but
they're both like 1,000 mile an hour. Like their muscles are going to be the same as what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Their muscles will be very stringy, very lean.
What's your favorite game to eat?
Or what's the weirdest one you've eaten?
Turkey's my favorite. I don't know. Hell, I've tried possum and
Really?
yeah,
You know you can't eat armadillo?
really.
I found that out from a guy. He also grew up in a trailer, much like myself. You cannot eat them, he told me, because they have a poison in them. I think other animals can eat them, but humans, for whatever reason, cannot eat armadillos because the poison or whatever's in their body will poison us. I think, yeah. But people still hunt them and kill them for their shells, which is weird. But you can't eat it. That's just one of those. But what do you think the weirdest thing is you've ever eaten?
Probably that. Probably possum.
Possum? What was that like? I've
I
never
don't
eaten.
even remember. I've tried so much stuff. I go to wild game dinners all the time, so
Really?
You got a little bit of this, a little bit of that, you
A
know.
little bit of dove, a little bit of almond, a little bit of
whatever,
roadkill.
snake,
I made some cow tongue the other day, and people were like, "What the fuck?" And then what I make the other
Lingua,
day, cow
man.
tail,
Lingua.
oxtail. I had
Oxtail,
that.
yeah.
I cooked that last night. It was pretty
I've had
good.
pig brains.
Really?
Oh, I love pig brains.
They say you're not supposed to eat the brains of chickens. You're not supposed to eat chicken brains.
Yeah, they're like that big, dude. It's
Yeah.
like a damn.
I know,
nugget.
but it's something along the lines of it's got a chemical. So how long? Who approaches who with this smart hand? The smart prosthetic.
This is where I want to spend the kind of the rest of the interview is on the cover of your book here. You've got these bionic hands. They've got these this kind of weird texture to them. They look very robotic-y. I don't know the best way to word that. You look like a half human, half robot.
like Inspector Gadget.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. You know, how do you get linked up with them? Does your wife do all the heavy lifting there, or
So she
how do the
Googled
insurance companies respond? And
So she Googled it and found this hand, this bionic hand. And right off the bat, this is something you need, you know. Start doing research on it. It's like, so I go to my first prosthetist, and I tell him, Touch Bionics is what it was called back then. I showed him the website. This is what I want. And the first thing he said, won't happen.
He's like, yeah, you got a couple $1 million sitting
That's
in your...
right.
Well, what's the deal? Like, how do people get hooked up with it?
Insurance, you just
Is it because you're a double that they're saying there's no way?
No, I just think that you just got to have really good insurance. You know what I mean? Or veterans were getting them and stuff like that. I mean, it's just like anything. If an insurance company says, it's not medically necessary, hell, you ain't going to get it. You know what I mean? It's just the way it is. And I got denied multiple times.
What's multiple? Hundreds?
2 or 3.
20s?
No, 2 or 3.
2 or 3?
Yep.
You
And I
just
kept on
switch
fighting
insurance-
it. I just kept on fighting it. And then a bunch of people, I was in the union, right? So,
Pipe fitters. Yep.
So
which
the
is dick
UA
breaking work too for people.
Yeah,
that don't know.
Oh, they'll snap your dick straight off.
Yeah.
I knew a guy that was in pipe fitters here in Evansville, and he actually he transitioned.
Yep.
Because they snapped his dick clean off.
Yeah.
Yeah, he transitioned. Seriously.
I believe.
Anyways, moving on.
So I got a hold of the UA member or the president of the UA,
okay,
which is in Washington. Well, then people start writing letters.
DC.
Yeah, like working with the presidents and, all this like a lot of power.
Right.
you
Big
know.
time stuff.
So I started having these people like calling and writing letters. And then eventually I wrote a letter to my insurance company and I said, you all may not know or you don't know me at all.
Right.
No.
But whatever's medically necessary, if this hand will do nothing for me except for me hold my kid's hand to walk across the street, I should be entitled for it, right? If that's the only thing the hands does, that's worth more to me than anything, right?
Yeah.
And I guess I pulled a little heartstring when that happened and I got okayed. So I became the first person in the world with 2 bionic hands.
Did they fly you out there for it, or
No.
did they come to you?
They sent them to my prosthetist, and my prosthetist fitted them with me. And but Touch Bionics, they didn't know nothing about me. They just hell, they just made a sale.
So
it wasn't no big deal. At
the
the time.
hands open and everything.
Yeah.
How's that work?
Works off your muscles. So you got a muscle on top of your arm. So when I feel like I raise my wrist, it opens the hand. When I lower my wrist, it closes the hand. So the hand is not waterproof. Like right now, I'm wearing my body powers just because I had them on already. And I already had my sweatshirt on. I didn't want to have to take my sweatshirt off, put it all on. I was running late anyway. When I hunt or I'm doing anything dirty, nasty, whatever, I'm wearing my body powered because there is no electronics.
Can you gut a deer with those?
Yes, that's what I hunt with. There's no electronics. You don't have to worry about water, dust, dirt, mud, nothing.
Right.
The other ones, and I tell people it's because some people ask me, well, I see you with your hooks on more than you do your bionic hands at times. Well, it depends what I'm doing.
Right.
So if you owned a Lamborghini and you had a work car, and you're going to drive in the rain or down a muddy road, can the Lamborghini go down mud? Yes.
Right.
Do you want to take the Lamborghini down mud?
Yeah.
No.
No.
So it's the same exact thing with hands. You got $500,000 worth of arms, or you got $30,000 worth of arms. What are you going to wear? When
Is
you
one
going to stick
easier
your hand
for
down in
you
blood?
think? Is one easier for you? You think? No,
I think
about the same.
I think the bionic hands are a lot more comfortable because you ain't got all the straps around your
Right.
back, you know?
Oh, yeah, it's just responding to everything right here.
Right there. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So how does that, like,
It clamps back here.
Yep.
You can see
Just
it in
right
the
behind
picture.
your elbow.
it fastens right to your elbow?
Yep. So I got a bag, and on YouTube I show how to put them on. I have a parachute bag, and there's a hole at the end of the socket, and I shove it in, and when I pull the bag out, it sucks my skin in, so it locks it in.
Do you think something along the lines of do you follow Elon Musk at all?
What's that?
Elon Musk, do you follow him at all? No. I didn't know if you followed like the Neuralink, where they were going to say like, so potentially they could attach a chip to your brain and you'd be able to move. You'd be able to move the hands by just thinking.
I think that will happen one day. I don't know if I'll ever see it in my lifetime.
Right.
Well, and I'll get into that. I'll kind of let me go from. So I got the hands.
Right.
Remind me about that though.
Okay.
All right. So I got the hands, and I become really good with them. Right off the bat.
You're just practicing, trying all sorts of cool things.
I wanted to be, and I told my wife in the hospital, I want to be the best prosthetic user in the world. That's what I want. That's my goal. And I'm there right now.
Oh, I believe it.
Like, I have been tested with all kinds of people, and I am the best user right now. If I can help somebody else be better than me, I'm willing to do that. But I worked extremely hard to do that, right? So then I started getting a lot of publicity, especially locally, Evansville, for sure. Channel 14, 44, 25. They all call me because it's a big story. I'm the first person in the world with 2 bionic hands. Like, how much bigger
you're
can
right
you
next
get?
door to us. Yeah.
First one in the world. We're going to do stories on him. I get a lot of stories, and then CNN picks up on one of the Evansville stories.
Yeah.
And ran it on CNN.
Oh, yeah.
So then from CNN, I started having other amputees across the world. Now,
Just reach out to you.
Yep. And now, when I was in the hospital, I'm going to come back and forth a little bit. When I was in the hospital, I felt like my grandfather was the first arm amputee in the world, and I felt like I was the second. I've never seen another person lose an arm anywhere. Never ran into one, seen one, nothing. And I'm like, was he the first and I'm the second? Like, I don't know anybody. Well, when I was on CNN, then I started having all these amputees all over the world calling me. And then, that group of feeling like I was alone got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I realized right then, my goal now is I want to be an open book. I want every amputee in this world to be able to get a hold of me. I don't want them to feel alone. I don't want them to feel like they are the only, because I felt like that.
Right.
I didn't know anybody to talk to. I didn't know how to process this. You got doctors telling you what you're going to feel
like. The David Goggins of amputees.
Yeah. You got doctors saying, hey, you're going to feel this, you're going to feel that. Yeah, but you got your hands. You know what I mean? I know you're trying to tell me, and you're being cool about it, and I appreciate it.
But they don't really understand.
You got them.
Right.
You're reading this in textbooks, what it feels like. I want to be that person for everybody in the world. So I got people calling me all over the world about amputee stuff. And then I was getting some calls from doctors and prosthetists and just, hell, everybody, And then I finally got a phone call from Hawaii 5-0.
Oh, this story cracks me up.
So I got a call from this lady, and she, hey, can I talk to you about your hands? I was like, yeah. So I start telling her a little bit about my hands, how they work, the bionic hands. Mm-hmm. And I said, are you a prosthetist? No. Are you a therapist? No. Are you
and she was asking like a lot of questions, like very intrusive.
Oh, yeah. Like can you hold a gun? Can you write your name? Can you?
And you were like, who are you, lady?
Yes. I finally was like, who are you? What do you want from me? And she was like, well, I can't really tell you, but can you Skype tomorrow? Do a Zoom call, whatever.
That's so suspect.
And
right.
But I'm cool with whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, I'm very easy.
You're an open book. Like you just said, you want to be an open book.
That's right. So she calls the next day, and we're on Zoom. First time I ever Zoomed anybody in my life. And there was a whole table, a bunch of people. I was like, man, this is weird. Can you hold a gun? Yeah. I was like, can you get a gun and show us? Yeah. So, I did. Can you write your name?
Can you shoot your laptop?
Can you go get a gun right now?
Yeah.
And you just like leave camera, and they're all just sitting there with their legs crossed.
Yeah.
Like,
come back.
He doesn't come back with a gun. He doesn't come.
Yeah.
He doesn't do it. He
There's
doesn't.
no
He did
way.
it.
Just come back, double wheel.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? What's going?
Yep. Can you write your name? Can you hold a coffee cup? And
That's so crazy.
I did 2 or 3 little things.
Oh, get a gun.
I did a couple, 2 little things, 2 or 3 things. And then this guy gets in front of me. He says, hey, I'm the producer for Hawaii 5-0. My name's Peter Linkoff. And we're redoing an episode that we did in the 70s called the Hookman episode. It was a guy that had 2 hooks. We want a guy that has 2 bionic hands. You're the only person in the world that's got 2 of them. Will you help us? Heck yeah, So
Right.
Hell yeah.
I get a flight to Hawaii.
What was that like?
Oh, awesome. Did
you get to take the family with you?
took my whole family, except for my little boy. He was so little, I didn't want Jenny to have to watch him because I knew I was going to work, whatever. I get to Hawaii. I've never been around an actor. To be honest with you, I probably hadn't been around anybody famous in my whole life, right? So I'm like, how do you act?
Right.
Like, what do you do? I'm just going to be me. I don't care. You know what I mean? So I get on set, and I'm playing a body double for RoboCop from the 80s, right?
Yeah.
Peter,
RoboCop.
yeah. Peter Weller. So I get there on set, and they look at me, and all the actors are all talking to me. They all know who I am because they'd already explained, hey, we're going to pull this guy in. And so they're all cool, man, talking, and everything was good. And Peter Weller was laying on the ground. And they said, all right, we need his face in your hand. You pulling the trigger. Because I was a bad guy. We was going to kill a bunch of people, right?
Yeah.
So they said, go over and lay on his back. Put your arm underneath his armpit. Pull the trigger. And I was like, okay. I was like, are you serious? Like, yeah, just go over and lay on his back. And like, okay. So I walk over and I lay down. So I'm spooning Peter Weller, right?
Right.
Oh, Peter.
And,
And he was a good sport about it.
I didn't know how to take, but I start laughing.
Right.
And he leans over and he's like, boy, what are you laughing about? And I said, man, I'm from Kentucky. And like, you're the first guy I ever laid on top of.
Right.
Ever.
Right.
And I don't even know your
He said,
name.
where
Like,
I'm
it might
from-
be cool.
Where I'm from, you get made fun of for this.
That's
you know?
right. But then I was like, if I could at least introduce myself, maybe it wouldn't be as strange. You know what I mean?
Right.
So he laughed at me, and I mean, dude, and actually, if you Google on YouTube, Jason Koger and Peter Weller, we did a little thing in Owensboro. He flies and sees me now.
That's cool.
At home. We did a little video together that explains me laying on top of him. He's laughing. I mean, it's a good video. So, here I am in Hawaii with all these actors, all these famous people, and like, do you ask for their phone number? I don't know,
Right.
Or do you act like you're just chill, you're better than them? What do you do? And anyway, Peter Weller had asked me, he's like, hey, won't you go out to eat with me tonight? I was like, all right. So we went out to eat that night. He's like, I want to keep in touch with you. And I said, man, you're an inspiration. You're a cool dude. And so he gave me his cell phone number, and man, we've been in touch ever since. He texted me at Christmas. He was in Italy. He texted me a picture of him in Italy with his family. And Alex Olafin, which is McGarrett on Hawaii 5-0, same thing, text all the time, and super cool,
Right.
But I didn't do that, and I'm not saying this to say, hey, look who I know, by any means. After we shot that episode of Hawaii 5-0, Peter Weller calls me, and he says, hey, I found out there's a new bionic hand, like second generation's about to come out.
Right.
Like, hell, man, I probably won't get it. Insurance ain't going to say nothing, He's like, what's the name of that company? It's Touch Bionics. He personally calls Touch Bionics and says, hey, you want your name on this show? Like, do millions of people's going to see this show?
Right.
And Jason is phenomenal using this thing. They didn't know who I was.
Right.
So he said, if you want to be on this show, your name on this show, you need to give Jason a new set of hands.
And that's how you got hooked up with the second gen.
And
how I
they
got
now
hooked up
know
with
you
them.
by name, right?
So then they watch Hawaii 5-0, and they call me and they say,
Damn.
there's no way you did that. There's no way you did this. There's
This
no
is
way
when
you did
they
that.
like put you through testing and stuff at this point, right?
And I was like, I did it. It wasn't green screen. It wasn't fake. I
Right.
did
It
this
was
stuff.
really me.
Yeah. So they flew me to Ohio. They have an office in Ohio. And so I go to Ohio, and everything's good, and started learning how to. Well, I showed them what I could do. I was super good at this stuff, I didn't know I was that good. I didn't know I was going to be.
But through
that man.
diligence, though, like
Hard work.
Fuck yeah. It's just insane to me that like the creators of the bionic hand are like, fuck, you did. No, you didn't.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And you're like, well, I did, and here you go. Here's the episode.
That's right.
And you were breaking a gun down. You were putting a gun back together.
Yep.
You pulled the trigger, like you said, with Peter.
Yep.
So they put you through the testing and stuff. Like the one test was break down the packing bag like you're going on vacation.
Yep.
And then re-put it back together. Yep. And how fast could you do it? And they said the fastest time we have is, what was it, 15 minutes or something?
I don't even
30
remember.
minutes or something. Yeah. And yours was like 9.
Yeah, like smoked it. And they were like, I can't believe this stuff.
You went yard. You sent it out to the damn parking lot.
Yep.
It's just insane. And then, so you get hooked up with the second.
A lot of this also has to do with your personality. You know, I'm easy to talk to.
You are.
I'm not. I don't think I'm better than anybody, so I'm not standoffish by any means. Mm-hmm. I think people can see me as a person that is willing to share their story. However I do that, I don't know. I mean, it's just the way I was raised, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just the way I carry myself. I don't, smiling, I don't know. But people don't care to come up to me and talk to me, and they notice this too, the Bionic Hand Company. So here I am, one of the best users, doing stuff that they cannot believe. And so then the doors are starting to open up, and then you do a national TV show like that, I mean, other opportunities come, right? So I got another call from a producer that wanted to know if I could come to L.A. and do something for them. And they said, we cannot tell you what you're going to do and who you're doing it for. It's top secret, right?
This is like for NASA. We're going to Mars at this point.
I have no idea what this is.
You're like, all right, whatever. I'm working for the NSA at this point.
So they said, we're going to shoot this commercial. We need you to come to California. So they said, we need your kids, your wife. They fly us all to California, and we show up at Apple.
Wow.
Now, the way that happened is one of the camera guys on Hawaii Five-0 had something to do with this commercial.
Oh, shit.
So they were like, man, we need some cool ideas. Like, so that next hand had an Apple app for it. So it's like, this guy's got a hand that got an Apple app, and it's crazy. So basically, Apple hired me to do their Super Bowl commercial in 2014. I did the Super Bowl commercial, and then it went into, I've done a movie with Matthew McConaughey. I've done a MetLife commercial. I've done hunting shows. I've done podcast.
What was that podcast you were just?
Marcus Luttrell.
Yeah, Marcus Luttrell.
And I have to stop there. Hats off to Marcus Luttrell. He did a phenomenal job. And if you want to talk adversity, this poor son of a bitch, do you know his story?
Oh, yeah.
God damn how he fucking survived. Oh. I have his book actually right behind you there. And I promise you won't read a story and you'll be like, that son of a bitch should have died at least a dozen times.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Cool dude, man. Super cool guy.
So you want to talk adversity. You two in a room alone listening to that. I did. I listened to that podcast and I was like, man, I just felt like a pussy even listening to the podcast. I was like, here's one of my idols, Marcus Luttrell, a Navy SEAL who survived all odds. And here you are. You're like, yeah, man, lost both my hands. It's fucking dope. Look at me. I'm sick, dude. Yep. I'm doing all this cool shit, and I'm happy, and I'm cheering. Look at my beautiful family. I'm like, I'm a huge pussy because I'll get a flat tire, and my whole week will be ruined. Yep. I'm just I get so mad.
Yep. I still have a flat tire.
He does, dude. He's had a flat tire for 3 months, dude.
And I just bought a bicycle. I said, "Fuck this."
Hell yeah!
But dude, it's like I envy guys like you. Yeah. I've gone through a little bit of adversity, but Jesus Christ, you guys have just been through the ringer a couple of times.
Man, it's all about your attitude and what you want out of life. I mean, that's it.
100%. You know what I mean?
Dude. Like I had opportunities that come up, and I took them, and I still take them. I travel a lot. I mean, dude,
we were talking about that. I was nervous I wasn't going to catch you.
Do you do a lot of public speaking?
I do. I do TEDx talks. I do speaking. I've been.
What was that like for your first talk?
That was
TEDx.
Well, because I'm sure, like, although your dad ran his own business and everything, like I'm sure talking didn't always come natural to you.
I failed public speaking in college. That's the only thing I failed.
Well, they probably found out you were from Kentucky. And
Probably.
Like,
I
hey,
don't know.
this guy
he was
sounds
going to college
like...
in Kentucky.
But the biggest difference in that is I don't have anything fake to talk about anymore.
Right.
I got a story.
And it comes natural.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I lived. It's not something I think. It's something that I've been through. It's something that I feel like I've always had a lot of faith. I feel like, and maybe some people don't believe in this, and that's fine. I feel like God had a plan for me to do what I do today. And every day that I wake up, I'm going to be honest with you, every single day I wake up, I know that I'm happy because I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Right. I don't think the construction was, like I said earlier, I think that was, I was grown, or I was pushed into that. Not that my dad ever pushed, said you have to do this.
That's what you wanted to do. That's what the family did.
It was just right there, though.
It's there. This is what I got to do. This is what.
And the money's there, too. They were blowing up. He went from almost nothing to
$1 million contracts.
Yeah. And I'm like, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm going to run this business one day. And then God was like, no, you're not. You're going to do something else, man. I got something for you, brother.
Slow down, buckaroo.
It's going to suck, but at first, but you're going to do it.
This is going to sting a little bit, dude.
But you're going to do it,
What was it like doing the TED Talk or something for the first time?
I don't know. I mean, I wasn't nervous about it because I'd already done some speeches locally. It doesn't bother me about being in front of somebody, but I really enjoyed it because they were critiquing me like, you need to leave that part out. You need to add this part, take this, take that.
So they're hoping you polish.
Oh, yeah,
maybe
yeah.
More so.
But now I'd rather get in front of a crowd and not write a speech and just tell what's on my heart that day.
You should.
That's what I'm doing right now.
You should. I mean, and I'll tell you what, I'm locked in on this conversation. Like, this is so much better than reading the book. Like, actually putting a face to a name and a name to a face and getting to meet you. And I feel like I know you and Jen and the kids and everything. It's wild. Your book is phenomenal. I guess so we know what happened to you, how it happened to you, the blessings that came your way shortly thereafter.
What was one of the coolest places you got to visit along these lines of public speaking and talking?
Oh yeah, that's a good question too.
I mean, I've had a lot of people ask me that, and I'll be honest with you. I travel so much now. I've been to Italy, to Mexico City, I was in Philadelphia last week. I was in Arizona last week. I was in Philadelphia week before that.
Where at in Arizona? Have you been to Flagstaff?
No, I was in Phoenix.
Okay.
Shout out to Phoenix. Dude. I've been there.
If you go to Flagstaff, we know somebody that owns a meadery out there. It's like fermented honey.
Oh,
it's
cool.
Cool.
Yeah. I watched a guy flip a car off the interstate from Phoenix to Las Vegas one time. I just happened to be driving.
Yeah, the only places we've been is Brian, I guess, has been out of the country to Afghanistan.
I've been to West Texas, too.
I've been to the west side and the east side. And,
he stays around here.
South
He's very
side,
local.
And
it's very local.
I'll tell you, the coolest place I probably ever went was Pearl Harbor.
Really?
And when I got there, this is when we went to Hawaii to do that show.
5-0.
I had my kids with me, and I said, I'm going to take you out to Pearl Harbor. They're like, what's Pearl Harbor? And I told them, the story. I mean,
millennials.
They're young at the time. You know what I mean? I mean, they're probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old at the time. You know what I mean?
Right.
You got to start them early.
So when I went, and I didn't realize the date, but I went to Pearl Harbor
7th?
the day, December 7th, I was there.
What was it, packed?
It was packed.
Bonkers.
And I'm going to tell you,
was there like a reenactment?
I was very thrown back a little bit when I got there because there was more Japanese there than Americans.
Get out of here. No, I'm just kidding.
Seriously, I mean,
Get out of here.
That's what you think.
I'm joking. I'm only joking.
Because when we went in on December the 7th, all the survivors of Pearl Harbor that were still living were there. Wow, so they were 100 years old. So I didn't think about, I'm not prejudiced by any race, sex, nothing, right?
100%. Do you, boo-boo.
But I'm sitting here thinking, if I was here and all my brothers and sisters died because of what Japan did, do I want more Japanese here than I do Americans? I would just assume that was hurtful for them. And I actually asked one of them, and they were like, man, no, it's just history. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, this stuff happened. But it was super cool because I took pictures with the only three, I think it was 3 of them at the time, survivors of Pearl Harbor. And my kids got to visit that and see the flyers that they lit a candle in and was across the water and stuff you don't see when you go to Pearl Harbor most of the time. So that was probably the coolest thing that I have done.
And then I assume like when you went to Italy, you got to see like the Colosseum and stuff along those lines.
Do you have a favorite country you've been to so far?
You said America, goddammit.
There you go.
Back-to-back World War champs. Don't y'all forget it, dude. Remember.
Yeah, World War III pending.
Dude.
No, I'm just kidding.
Why don't y'all step again, Russia?
Probably
Step
Italy.
again.
You know what I mean? Like the history of it. I love history, but
I'm the same way. I'm a big history guy. Yeah.
But there was a lot of places that I went. So like first time I went to New York, I wanted to go to 9/11 Museum.
That's cool.
But I did not want to do it without my family. So I went to New York maybe 2 or 3 times. Never
Didn't
went.
go.
Drove right past it. There it is in a car. Like I'm waiting till my family go. And then we eventually have gone. But now every time I go somewhere, it's like, all right, fly me out as late as I can. Fly me in as early as I can. I want to be home, right? I still want to do what I do, but I don't want to be, hey, let's go visit this and that.
Sightseeing.
Unless you want to bring them with me.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And then we can sightsee. We can be there for 2 or 3 days. So there's a lot of places I've been. I'm sure I've been to.
So when's
50 places.
Joe Rogan hitting you out?
I don't know. He's hard to get a hold of.
Oh, dude, I'll tell you
I
what.
bet we see you on there within the next year.
You get a hold of Mark. Hey, hit up Mr. Luttrell and his brother and his wife and be like, hey, man, we want to do Rogan.
Yep.
Dude, he'd eat it up.
He's been on there, I know.
Oh, yeah. You know, did you hear about his episode? Did y'all talk about it before or after?
No.
They had to cut the last hour, I think, of the interview because he got so drunk and they were just like talking crazy war story, like too crazy to post. So they like cut it, and then Rogan put up a message. Go back and look. I know you said you don't listen to the big long 2-3 hour podcast. This one's like 2.5 hours long, and then at 2.5 hours they like put up a message. Hey, Marcus got a little intoxicated, and so did Joe, and it got a little out of hand, so we tied it up here.
Funny.
It was, dude. Hats off to them, man. Marcus is a damn stud. I can't believe you got to. Like,
so what's one of your favorite things to do nowadays with like in this work field, whether it be speaking,
just inspiring people,
really,
and helping people. I mean, I love helping people, man. That's something I've always enjoyed to do, and I feel like I'm in a position now where if you Google upper limb amputees, you're going to see me. You're going to find me. You know what I mean? And so I feel like I'm leading
the charge,
the upper limb members. You know what I mean?
Do you do anything to stay in the upper top? You know what I mean? Like, do you do like
just keep on doing everything?
Well, yeah,
man,
but I'm just saying,
what
like,
do you mean the upper top? What does that
well,
mean?
like being in the top, like of the amputees, like is there any like are you working out to stay?
I think I take anything that somebody says I cannot do, I'm going to show you I'll do it. Even if it's something I don't even care about, right?
Well, and I meant with like writing and talking and speaking. Like, do you practice those aspects or?
No, not necessarily, but I think it's just the things. I just got a golfing arm. I've never golfed in my life before I got hurt, right?
I wonder how
but I'm back on. I'm going to show them. And there's a video. I seen it up there just a minute ago. And I hit a ball, I don't know, it might have went 100 yards. I don't know. I mean, 200 maybe. I smoked it, right?
But clipped it.
Yeah, it's in there. It's up there. I just seen you had it up there a minute ago somewhere. You see the little green. It was like at a Top Golf. So, like right there, pool. I've never played pool before. There's me doing pool.
This one.
Look to the left. I did baseball. I played baseball. I shoot guns. Like, man, there's nothing that I won't try.
Right.
And I think that's what keeps me
I
rolling.
wouldn't take you for a Dr. Pepper drinker, but we got a Dr. Pepper right here. So,
so I mean, it's just, I think I'm very active, which keeps me going.
You have to be, man.
Yeah.
I feel like that happens with veterans too. Any veterans, I'm sure you talked with Marcus about this a little bit. Anytime a veteran gets like down and they're, they get beat up or blown up, they're missing a leg or an arm, or they're deaf or they're blind or whatever, they're missing something. It's too easy to just get down in the dumps and hate yourself.
Is there anything you can do better, you think, now?
Yeah,
no, probably not better than
anything that you can do now with your prosthetics that you.
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
I can turn my hand 360 degrees.
So when you're like
the
screwdriving,
Yeah, I can just sit there and just screw something on.
so you just hold the screwdriver up to it, and you're like, all right,
there you go.
and then it just goes.
Yeah.
So, you told me to bring up the point about Elon Musk maybe being able to eventually.
Oh yeah. So now that I'm in the Oser, the Bionic Hand companies, Phil Hour, which has the body part stuff. Like I'm in with all these companies, right? So I am that person that everybody's like, hey, we need to do research on that Jason because he can figure it out.
Do you want me to take that empty for you, by the way?
Because you're like the most advanced of the, and there's another one I pre-cracked for you. So.
Awesome. So yes, so everybody's like, Jason has this mindset of the mechanical mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So if we ask him to open that drink, he's automatically going to know what he thinks is the best situation to open that drink.
Right.
So you got to have that as well. Like you have to have that mentality, that mechanical inclined type mentality. So there might be amputees out there that can't do what I do because of that. So anyway, I got doctors all the time asking me, hey, how would this work? Would this work? Bionic hands, the engineers for the hands. I mean, I got people ask me stuff all the time. So I have talked to doctors. I was going to be the first bilateral arm amputee in the United States to have hand transplant. They sent me to Pittsburgh.
I got a human hand?
Yeah, like from a a dead person.
What?
From a dead person.
From who?
A dead person. They were going to attach it, and I said the surgery.
Jason,
it's crazy stuff, man. There's all kinds of stuff out there.
they're gonna dig them up?
No,
it'd be
like
a freshly dead
a
person.
freshly dead person.
Oh shit! I just went grave robbing immediately. I don't know why.
No,
A dead man's hand, or I guess it'd be a dead lady.
Yeah, well, no, I mean a lady's hand wouldn't look very good on a guy's body.
Might be a little too petite.
Yeah, that's
what
right.
if she's got her nails done?
Yeah, that's
I
right.
don't know.
You never know.
Got a couple rings on.
But the surgeries and stuff is like scary. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, not for me. And I was good at doing what I was doing, so I turned that down.
Do you know if somebody picked it up
Oh yeah, there's been people in the United States
that have done a hand transplant?
Oh yeah, yep.
Are they successful?
Not really.
That's
Nope.
unfortunate.
But you got people that have that mentality, and hey, if this is what they want, I'm happy for them. But you got some people that might be, I want to look normal.
Right.
I don't care if I look normal or not. Hell, I'm happy with a bionic hand, cool stuff. That ain't for everybody. I mean, it really ain't. What I wear is not for everybody. There's a lot of stuff out there, but it comes to like doctors are asking me questions, and I know that they are about to get to a point where they're going to test putting a Bluetooth chip on every one of your nerves inside your arm.
That's what another thing I was going to say is they
That goes to the
connect
hand.
machines to see what.
I wonder.
Now they got osseointegration that's been around in Australia for a century. I don't know however long.
So they're connecting bones.
They're drilling a rod inside your bone, and the rod hangs out of your skin, and you just attach the hand, not a socket. So it's a straight to the bone. You don't have it.
All right, Jason, we're good on that.
I bet it gets cold though. You know what I mean? Like out
would
here,
think-
you would
yeah.
think that like your bones would really be chill. And,
Jason, I'm be honest with you. You're grossing me the fuck out. I don't know how he hasn't dropped yet, and I ain't no pussy either.
That's not bloody to me. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah,
just
it ain't
thinking
bloody.
like
Little
attached
bone
to
sticking
bone.
out. I'm good. What?
Well, so you got to keep it clean or it gets infected,
Right.
which would be hard to do.
Right.
And
I,
then what scares me about osseointegration, maybe I don't know enough about it, but what if you were to fall and it bent the rod? You know what I mean? Like, dude, that's scary stuff. Like,
What are we getting a whole damn
are
surgery?
they cutting more off? Are they cutting it out?
Or they have to
cutting more? I
weld
don't
it
know.
in and it conducts heat in. You know,
I mean, who
That's-
knows? But there is so much stuff that's coming up.
Technology is just forever expanding.
We're in a very so I'll tell you what, you're making the best out of the situation you've been handed. See what I did there? Did that on purpose? No, I really didn't. You really are making the best out of the situation that you've been given. And I'll be honest with you, I really didn't expect to hear back from you. Once I saw you had done TED Talks and Marcus Luttrell's podcast, but you really are an easy man to talk to. You aren't any better than anybody.
Nope.
And an easy man to get a hold of, just for other amputees out there listening to this.
How did we get a hold of each other? I got a hold of you on Instagram.
That's right. I'm super easy on social media or my website, jasonkoger.com. Go straight to my email.
You're very down to earth, very easy to talk to.
And I want to help people, man. I've had other amputees that has told me, you're not going to lose another acting job to me, and I'm like, well, you got to be good at using your prosthetics too, right? So like,
work at it.
Hell yeah, get good, and you might be on that show. Don't come at me like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm a damn stud. I worked at this.
But you don't want people to. I don't know. It's just like the people that I've met, and this is another cool part of the story. I've met people on all walks of life. I've met actors. I've met singers, I've met rappers, I've met, baseball, football. I mean, dude, just everybody you can think of, people that construction to whatever. Don't matter what kind of pants they put on, from celebrities to nobody. And they all bring something solely different to this world that's amazing. And I get that opportunity to have a little piece of all this. Just like the other day, do you remember, a lot of people don't remember this, but you remember Doc Curry, the DOC?
Yeah.
All right, so he's the one that got Snoop Dogg started. He's the one that got Dr. Dre started, Ice Cube started.
Kind of brought them all together.
Yeah, look him up, the DOC.
Oh, I've heard DOC before. Yeah,
he was in a car wreck, so he had a number one hit. He was in a car wreck and lost his vocal cords. So when he talks, he's got a really,
it's like really raspy.
Raspy talk.
Do you know Doc Curry?
So,
I don't, but I know I've heard DOC before, like in reference.
Yep. So like the other day at his house, I seen on Instagram, Eminem was at his house hanging out. He's with Dr. Dre, he's with Snoop Dogg, like all these well-known people. Hell, I know he's got one of my books. He just texted me the other day. He was like, "Hey, if you want to put this on social media, you can." I haven't yet, but it was great book, great friend, lucky to have you. So like you got all these people that are all across the country. And how cool is that? I've had a celebrity call me that I know going through a rough time. They could call anybody in the country they want to call, and they call me to get the inspiration. And where I'm going with this is it is to prove to you that it does not matter who you are, how important you are, where you're from. I mean, I'm an old boy from Kentucky. And I have somebody like that call me because I inspire them, that automatically should tell everybody, and it tells me every day now, that we can all inspire and help each other. It don't matter what you do. Don't matter how famous, how much money you got, or what you ain't got.
No kidding.
Doesn't matter.
No kidding.
Doesn't matter.
Jesus.
And that's why I don't brag about celebrities. I don't want anybody to think I'm
But it's neat,
bragging.
though. It's neat.
Cool.
It is neat to be able to know that this, like we said, like the good Lord above was like, hey, man, this is going to sting a little bit.
Yep.
But
there's going to be some blessings that come
you're going to do
it.
some cool shit for some people that really need it.
Yep.
And like you do the meetings down in Austin and what was it, San Antonio? You did some amputee meetups and stuff. You're doing these motivational speeches. You have the
book, the TED Talks, the
book,
Marcus
the TED Talk.
podcast.
You've made impacts on people from all walks of life that are literally just a phone call away, and
other countries.
You know what I mean? You are truly, you are a blessing to this world. You really, really have. Construction was not your thing, dude.
That's right.
I hate to tell you.
Maybe reconstruction of other people.
You might have been good at it. Sorry, Hoss.
Yeah.
You're better off where you are.
That's right.
I swear, I mean it.
Yep.
Dude, and I just, the one thing that we like to ask near the end of every episode or interview is, and we may have already touched on it, but I'll ask you anyways. Was there a time in this journey from March 2008 to today, to the very moment you walked up to this doorstep and did this podcast, through this journey that has just been, what's the darkest moment in that entire journey from 2008 to 2023, stepping on the Days Grimm doormat, and what pulled you through that darkest moment? So whatever it may be, and if you don't want to give a whole lot of detail on the moment itself, that's fine. We've shared a lot today.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure you will, but what is most important is family, children, God, who, what, how, and what got you through it. And that's what people really, really need.
So the darkest moment obviously was March 1st, 2008. of losing my hands, and not knowing how my life was going to change, knowing that it was going to be different, but also believing that I was going to get through it. Just like my dad told me, we was going to get through it. We was going to figure it out. We got faith. I think the most important stuff is faith, family, and friends, for sure. No doubt, in that order. I mean, I have always been surrounded with some good people, and I've put myself in that situation of being around good people. Like, if you hang out with a thug, what do you think you're going to be?
Yeah, they say,
you're
show me
a thug,
show me
man.
the
So,
5 people you hang out with, and I'll show you your future.
That's right. And I think you got to have those things, and you have to have that strong mentality that I'm going to get through this one way or another. And one of the biggest questions that people ask me is, do you wish you could go back to 2001 or 2008, March 1st, and this not ever happened to you? Like, if you could go back in time and change your future, would you do that? And I absolutely would not. And I say that not because of the cool stuff that I've done, but I feel like, the people that look back never move forward.
I think you wouldn't have changed as many lives.
That's right. I mean, I don't think I'd be the person I am today. And I just feel like if you live in the past, you never have time to move to the future. You just, or the present. Like, I live every day like today is going to be my last.
Yeah.
You should, man, because we don't know.
Yep.
We do not know.
I'm going to be happy when I die. And if that's tomorrow, so be it. I'm good to go. I'm ready. You know what I mean?
I'm legitimately proud to say that I know who you are, Jason Koger, and I can't believe you're in my damn cell phone. I got your cell phone, so just heads up, buddy. If I ever have a rough day, I'm gonna hit you up.
Come on with it.
No, dude, you've inspired me. I drug it along this knucklehead, and I've told him about your story. Immediately, as soon as I told him anything about you, he was fired up. He was looking you up online. I'm 3/4 away the book. I can't put it down.
Again, that book is Handed a Greater Purpose.
Yep.
Right here, which you can buy on Amazon.
Yep.
You can buy on
my website.
That's jasonkoger.com.
Yep.
And you can go down to your local bookstore. You can rent it in the library. Right? I'm assuming.
I don't even know.
I don't know.
He said audiobook maybe coming soon.
Yeah, we might need to do that.
I know you can get it at your brother's bookstore downtown on Main Street. Dude, I don't get excited about much. Music, football, and
he's really not the book reader either. I'm the book reader.
Oh,
of the
really?
group. Yeah, so that's what's interesting.
And I'm
I told him, I was like, go down to your brother's bookstore.
Yeah.
Find some local author books. Let me know. And I was like, let's get them in. And then he immediately was like, yep, I got this book. I already messaged the guy. He replied, it's going to happen. I was like, okay.
I've seen dark shit in my life with guys mostly around me, not with myself. But man, I heard about you and I said, this son of a bitch.
Yeah, I looked up the YouTube video. I think I watched the TED Talk or something. I was like, good Lord. I was like, this is
you are
intense.
just you're a damn specimen. You are. I mean, just look at you. You're a damn specimen. You're sitting here with a damn smile on your face. You don't give a shit. I get to go home to my beautiful wife. By the way, she's beautiful. Your beautiful children.
Thank you.
Look at you, dude. You got it all.
Yep. Got it rolling.
You got it rolling, man.
Is there any who's got you to where you're at? Who's keeping you going? And
last couple minutes is all you, man.
Yeah. Where can people find you? Your socials?
So obviously, you can go on my website, jasonkoger.com. It's Koger. If you email me off it, go straight to me. I got Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. I need to get this more on TikTok, but I do have a channel.
Get your daughter to help you out with
that.
That's
I know I do.
Because she's TikToking.
She's 16 and 15. They're not cool anymore. I ain't cool anymore.
I tell her you take her on the next trip or something.
Yeah. Man, I mean, I'm easy to find. I'm in Owensboro, Kentucky. I mean, there's not very many people around Owensboro. People know me,
and shout out to Owensboro for just embracing you for who they are,
and for having a mellow mushroom.
He does know his mushrooms. I do not want to give out too much information about the book, like all the details and stuff. I've been kind of shy about it. Dude, this is very well written.
Thank you.
Your writers did a great job so far. I'm 3/4 of the way through. I cannot put it down. So seriously, go out, get this book, and shout out to Owensboro for embracing you the way they have.
Yep.
And just everyone around you. So not to cut off your shout outs, but anywhere else they can find you, jasonkroger.com or jasonkroger.com.
Yep.
Jason Kroger on YouTube, Jason.Kroger on Twitter.
Yep.
Yeah, anything else? Last couple minutes is all you, man.
Man, I'm good. I think like we covered everything.
It's an honor,
I just
man.
want somebody to know that they can reach out. They see me in town. They see me in Evansville, wherever they see me. I mean, talk to me. I don't care. Like, I'm good. I'll share whatever they want. Show them how to use what I got, or help them in any way I can.
Just seriously inspirational, man. God bless you. Thank you so much you could have been doing anything else for a couple hours tonight. And as late as it is, thanks for coming in. I greatly appreciate it.
I'm just glad I found my deer today so I could come.
Right.
That's what I'm saying, man. This has been another phenomenal episode of the Days Grimm. And truly, I've never been more proud of an episode. I'm so pumped. My name is Brian Michael Day.
My name is Thomas Grimm, and this has been Jason. Thank you very much.
This is Jason Koger. And at a greater purpose. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Really?